I just love the way that cigarettes and coffee go together, don't you? It's like liquid butter turning to air or something. I like the way they kind of grab my chest. Take that puff, sip a little sip, and you kind of get that breathless, fluttery feeling. Like first love. I mean, okay, I know I shouldn't do any of this stuff anymore, but it's my life, isn't it? And I know that some of y'all are concerned about that old hand-me-down smoke and what all, but this is my house. Anyway, let me not go on and on here. Y'all didn't come here to listen to my personal philosophizing about what all, so let me just get to it. This may be the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But I am effective today, officially resigning as president for life of the Elvis Presley fan club of Okmulgee, Oklahoma. I do not do this because I want to, but because I must. Because I have carried a burden in my heart all these many years and must now confess the truth to you before my secret rots out my heart like a termite sucking the guts out of a 2x4. Okay. I did it. I killed Elvis. That's about the reaction I expected. Oh, I can read your faces all right. Skepticism, disbelief, out and out she's crazier than a rocking chair. Well, that's fine. It's about what I expected. Although I guess I thought some of y'all serious fan club members would be more welcoming to the plain truth. Well, fine, you doubting Tammys out there can leave if you want, and Earl there. But I'm gonna tell this whole story, so make it quick if you're gonna go, so I can get on with it. Well, there now. As Reverend Collard always says, there's nothing you can say to a true believer. A long time ago, in the late 50s, when I was a young thing, and boys liked me a whole lot, I've seen a guy named Butch. Butch was a guitar playing boy from my high school, and he was in a rock and roll band that was real popular around here. Some of you might remember that band, the DAs. It was named for what they called haircuts the guys wore, where they had that kind of waterfall in the front over their foreheads and the sides combed way around to meet in the back, and that little part that kind of came down to a point on their neck was called a duck's ass, DA. Not to be confused with the one in the law area, although I often wonder. And Butch was coming round my house all the time, and one night my parents were out, and it was just me and him in the club cellar with a stack of 45s on the record player, and well, I told Butch first date, I bite tongues, mister. And after a couple of slaps, he respected that, kept his hands to himself and what all, but there we were alone. Outside it was June, and you could smell the night through the screen windows, and I was thinking how I might like Butch to hold me just a little bit closer when Love Me Tender came on the record player. And before I knew it, we were dancing. But Butch was holding me practically at arm's length. I'm thinking, I didn't want you to listen to me this good. Ladies, I think you all know what I mean here. You too, Earl. And I remember wishing Butch could be just a whole lot less like Butch and more like, well, like Elvis. And that's when it happened. I looked at Butch, and his thin little lips got all full and even had a curly little sneer to them, and his eyes were all dark and smoky, and well, things followed things. But the whole time I knew something way deep down. I had called Elvis forth, and he came unto me in Butch. And from that time on, he has come to me and so many other men. That didn't come out right. I don't mean so many other men like it was with Butch. I just mean I would just find myself thinking of him in the supermarket even, and this guy at the meat counter would be looking out at me through his eyes. Or the cop directing traffic downtown would suddenly do that kind of leg shift he used, you know. I would call Elvis unto me. And sometimes without even thinking about it. And he would just manifest. Well, after years of this, I finally thought, why am I still drinking champagne out of Coca-Cola bottles? Why don't I just go get me the real thing himself? So I started saving up so I could go see him perform, and wouldn't you know it, that's exactly when he stopped doing shows. At first, I was real depressed. I thought it was a rejection, him saying, don't come. But then I understood I was being tested. I was being asked, was I Elvis worthy? Or just another fan? No offense, y'all. But was I truly worthy? Well, obviously, I wanted to be Elvis worthy. Or what point would it all have? So right then and there, I took a pledge. I would make myself into the very definition of the truest believer that I could. I would be worthy or die. I spent the next year reading and rereading every book and magazine article I could find, seeing all of his movies I could track down. This is before video, young people, so I did me some driving and listening to all his albums again and again, wearing them out, buying new ones, and then one day, I was sitting on the floor listening to Heartbreak Hotel, writing a poem for his birthday using the letters of his name to start each line, when it hit me like a ton of frozen turkeys. I was preparing. That was true. But preparing for what? I laid right back there on the floor and I begged him for guidance. And I looked deep into my own heart. And eventually, the answer came clear as a bell. You must be more than worthy. You must be his ideal woman. Yes. That was when I took all that I had done already and got real scientific about it. Because now I had a mission. I went back through all those movies. Got a profile of his ideal woman by combining all the women into one. I covered my walls with charts of every conceivable fact I could lay my fingers on. And that's when I realized I was that close, but for one or two details. For example, his truest like was for blondes. They were in the majority, and I was brunette then. And he liked blue eyeshadow. Well, those were easy. I didn't see how peroxide and Maybelline were going to make me ideal. I went through my lists and charts again and again and found that I matched up in every way after going blonde, except one. Except one. And when I saw it, it was like all the great discoveries. It was simple. He liked a real hourglass figure. I had the ideal hip and bust size. Oh, sorry, Earl. But thanks to a long line of ancestors from places I can't even pronounce, I had the kind of waistline that made me more the shape of a clock than an hourglass. So I saved, and after 2 years I had enough money to do it, and when my mama, bless her heart, begged me not to do it, I just said, Adam gave his up for Eve. It's the least I can do for Elvis. So I had the operation. Even now, you can still see the results. And lo, I was ready to walk the last mile. And after 6 months, I spent healing up and learning how to breathe with tighter and tighter censures and taking voice lessons so I could sing the occasional duet with him on our TV specials and practicing my first greetings to him day after day after day. I was ready. I was worthy. I was ideal. Elvis ideal. And don't you know, that's just when he began to perform live again. Every sign pointed the way, and I didn't care that he had plumped up like a loaf of bread. I built up my money once again and set my sights on his next appearance, and I was ready. So I flew out, I checked in, and I made ready. I went a day early to be sure everything was in place, and I did not step 1 foot outside my room to keep from distracting myself in any way, shape, or form. On the night of the performance, I was there and ready. Front row center. I wore my raincoat over my outfit and kept it on. I was ready, and I was biding my time for my moment. When he came out, I felt the love sweep over me like a tornado, and I could feel his eyes on me from time to time, but I waited. I could feel myself aching to be welcomed by him to the stage and held in his now burly arms in front of everyone. But I waited. I was dying to bury my face in his glorious and bountiful flesh, but I waited. And then he got there. Like I knew he would. In time. Taking his time, teased me with other songs. He got to Love Me Tender, the song that started it all. My heart is louder than the band as I slip my coat off carefully in my seat, not wanting to appear too eager or uncoordinated. And just at the moment when the song is reaching its greatest intensity, I stand up and let him take me in. I can feel his perfect eyes moving up and down me, measuring my body with his eyes, checking out the colors of my outfit. And I don't care who is behind me saying, "Sit down." I just let him know me as I had made myself to be known by him. And then his eyes flicker off in a different direction for a moment, come back to me, and then return to the other direction. And I look back to where he's looking and see another blonde on the aisle with blue eyeshadow and the ideal dimensions, and I think, what could it be? What has she got that I have not? We look the same age, nearly the same height, and well, maybe her waist is a ½ inch smaller than mine, but this would be minutia beyond belief. And that's when I see it. Everything on her is food. Her blonde hair is a bouffant of meringue. Her fuzzy sweater is a coating of coconut flakes layered on top of a delectable paste of almonds combined with a cream cheese and butter icing. And her skirt is made up of a potpourri of flavored pastas, while the pattern on the skirt is made of bite-sized selections of all his favorite foods. I can't see her feet, but I have the feeling her boots are made of licorice. And I am all set to yell at him. I can